Mr. Mahdi coming back at you again, Backroad Ministry, the world premiere. So we're here. We're at WW3, the physical part of WW3. As I said, this war started a long time ago. World War is a build-up. We're still in the build-up stages as we start to see all the actors. We knew um, the state of Israel would be the primary actor behind this. We knew the state of America would be the primary actor behind this, but everybody else is kind of sitting in the backdrop before they're seen. The Chinese, we don't know what they're going to do, but it's only a matter of time before the Chinese get involved. The British play their little dirty game of we're not going to physically be involved, but we'll let people use our assets, which involves them. Russians will probably get involved since the Ukrainians and the British are teaming up, so that's going to take place. So we're definitely going to see the war against the West, and the West may not be able to withstand what's coming their way. We got some old civilizations and dynasties, be it the British, be it the Chinese, the Russians. You know, these dynasties have been around for a while, but America's a baby in this. This is big boy business, and America and the state of Israel are babies in this big boy business, which, you know, has to work itself out. You know, this is war against the Persian Empire, and the Persian Empire, which is the Iranians, have been around for centuries, so they've been fighting these type of wars. I think somebody made the comment ever since the days of the Mongols, they've been fighting these type of wars when people have tried to run up in there and got ran back out. And remember 300? 300 was a movie about Xerxes and the Persians going crazy, and you know, them just trying to whoop everybody's ass and everybody had to bow down to them. So the Persians had their conquering days, but then they got smart enough to just protect themselves. But, you know, in the Bible, Persia is the place of mercy. They are the place that really brings Jerusalem back to where it needs to be in the Bible. So that's its biblical prophecy as we go into this war, that Persia does restore Jerusalem to what it's supposed to be, which is basically a true home for Jewish people and a place of worship for the masses. But, you know, over time, the Zionist regimes have come in and turned it into just a money pit. It's not even about the practice of Judaism, because they don't respect Judaism. Zionists, they don't respect worship. They respect power, and that's what Zionists respect. And this is a Zionist against Muslim war, and that's what Albert Pike had pushed as the prophecy, that the Third World War would be a war against Zionism and Muslims. And that's what you're seeing, and it's falling apart, because the whole idea for this to work is that, and I think, you know, it's been a big thing, people talking about Pan-Africanism. You know, can people of so-called African descent work together? Can Black Americans, Africans in Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa work together to build something, to build political and economic power? That's the same question for Arab countries. Can they actually work together? The last time these Arab countries actually worked together is the Crusades. That's the last time we've seen any togetherness from these people. The Saudis do their thing, the Kuwaitis do their thing, the people in the Qatarians do their thing, the Iranians do their thing. Iraq is pretty much done. Libya's done. Egyptians, you know, a more diverse culture, but they do their own thing. But everybody does their own thing. And now the question is, do you unify more of a pan-Arab stance, or do you just let the West come in and bum rush you? And we're starting to see that maybe they are about to unify in some shape, form, or fashion inside of some of those countries where you think that they are pro-West. It looks like some unification is about to go down, where now guerrilla warfare tactics are going to be used. And that's what makes this type of war dangerous, because it's too much trust. You're trusting that the factions won't turn on you inside of these countries. And America's in a really dangerous place, because you got bases on foreign soil where you can't really trust the people. So not only are you fighting an air battle, you might be end up fighting a land battle as far as guerrilla warfare. And I hate to say it, on some of those bases, you ain't got Marines on every base. So I mean, Marines do the fighting for us and Army infantry. But now you're gonna ask regular Johnny, who's an Air Force guy, to get in the shootout with people who's been trained in guerrilla warfare. They're not equipped for that. They're not equipped to protect those bases at that level. So let's look at some realism in this. You're asking them to protect those bases, which they're not built for that. And your security forces aren't strong enough. They're not trained in guerrilla warfare tactics. So, you really put these men and women in a dangerous place. And, the military ain't what it used to be for those of us who know American military, for those of us who serve. We know it ain't the same military. So you kind of put these folks in a bad situation. Israel is in a bad situation because most of their military is IDF. Most of their military is IDF. So they got to call folks back to be able to go over there and serve and be able to protect Israel if guerrilla warfare hits them, which it probably will, because they made these enemies of the Palestinians. Palestinians might smell blood in the water that, hey, while they doing A, B, and C, we can come and fight us a guerrilla war and get them off their back. Nobody knows what the Egyptians are going to do. I mean, Egyptians are just sitting around. Pakistanis are just sitting around. So you got a lot of countries that's just sitting around right now. But this is prophecy. This is biblical prophecy. This is prophecy that Persia, once again, will be asked to stand up. Remember, America's tried to crush Persia on many occasions. They use the Iraqis to try to crush the Persians. And none of it has worked. I mean, they did kind of get them in the 1950s. That lasted for a couple of minutes. And then the Persians kind of, threw that plan to the wayside. So, none of this actually works. But this is about oil and people being able to receive their flow of oil. And that's where the Chinese come to play. The Venezuelan situation, I already heard the Chinese getting a nice little chunk of oil from the Americas. Now you're threatening that nice little chunk of oil in the air in the Arabian Peninsula, and I don't think they're going to stand for that. And that's going to make the Sino-American War kind of get up off the ground. So war is coming our way. I mean, you're not going to be able to avoid it. We know that's going to end in chaos. So I always tell people, get ready. So I'm strapped. I'm about to be more strapped. I mean, you got to be. You got to be ready to protect your family. If you got to get a generator for when they cut the power, today I'm going to play on my generator, get that started. I'm strapped. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for war. I'm ready to protect my family. Get you some provisions. We talked about it. Even if it's just rice and beans. Get you some rice. Get as much rice as you can. I'm going to the store today. I'm getting big satchels of rice. I know, hey, if you got to eat, rice and beans will keep your fucking family alive. Beans is your protein. Where I live, we got plenty of meat. We got deers to high heavens. If you got 1 or 2 hunters in your community should be able to survive for years in some of these places. Do not succumb to chaos. Chaos is where the lights go off, I don't know what to do. Motherfucker, get candles. Yeah, I got a generator, but I'm going to get some candles. Get some kerosene heaters. If you got a fireplace, learn how to use it. Remember, people, we survived before this stuff, the lights and all that. We were surviving. Be it from here to Eastern Europe, you were surviving. So we got to get back to understanding how to survive and basic shit. We've kind of moved away from that. Some of these countries, if something happens, they can go outside, start a fire, and cook dinner and live. They're not worried about all this extra stuff. But dependency on extra stuff leads to chaos, because now you think we can't live without it. Yeah, the TV, these videos might go. But that doesn't mean I can't go next door and talk to my neighbors and communicate that way. But, there comes a time when these things are gone. That does not mean that life stops. That does not mean that we succumb to chaos. Please don't succumb to chaos if things get bad. Lock down. Live within your communities. Get to know the people in your communities. Who's who? It becomes a question of who's who in your community. Strap up, protect your community. It's going to be outside folks that are going to come in with the chaos. Protect your community. We got enough guns in our communities to protect our community. If that's a 20 block, a 12 block radius, create some boundaries so you can protect your communities. But don't let people just run up in there and do what they're going to do. No, we're not going to do that. We got enough folks around here that have the skills to train and teach people how to survive. Now, that's the thing. Are you willing to do it, or is it just survival of the fittest? We can survive this as a country just by depending on each other and doing what we got to do until we rebuild this place to what we want it to look like. It doesn't have to be masked on greed and selfishness and all this other stuff. And we got to get to, if we're really going to be about American business, that's what we have to be about. American business in your countries. You got to be about the business of your country. All this taking over other people's country and telling people how to govern themselves, that has never worked historically. Everybody has tried it. It's never worked. People have tried to conquer people for centuries. It's never worked. It's always in war and chaos. So we don't want to get caught up in that. So definitely we're in the physical part of World War III. This is the prophecy part. It's coming straight out the Bible. This is Albert Pike's vision of World War III, which is Zionism versus Islam. We're seeing it play out. We're starting to see it begin. And we're going to see these Islamic countries kind of funnel into this in various ways. They're going to do various things. So there's a lot of folks that are in danger. Here in America, our biggest problem is that those borders. And my biggest issue when you allow so many people across the border, the problem is now you don't know who's here. People look like each other. So we really don't know who's in America at this time. So when everybody was tripping about ICE and everything ICE was doing, ICE was trying to prepare for this moment. Because now, even with the raids they did, they still don't know who's here, what terror cells have been built or activated. So remember now, this is war on American soil. At any time, people can start detonating things in the causes of Allah. And you don't know who's going to do what. You don't know who's going to do what or why they might do it or when they might do it. So that leaves us vulnerable, and we're in a vulnerable state right now because you don't know when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. We're just hoping it doesn't happen. So now all those ICE people who you guys kind of attacked on the street, you're going to need them now because they really got to get to work. They got to figure out and mix with the FBI and mix with some of these other agencies, be it ATF. Hey, what's the plan? What is the strategy to see if terror cells have went live? Because if they went live, you don't know. That's why this shit was bigger than what the media tries to paint it one way, but you got to be looking a little bit farther. Anytime you're preparing for world war, everybody's looking 5-6 steps ahead. So they already knew, hey, we got to get into these places to see who's who, because we don't know who's who. They can be black, they can be white. We don't know. We don't know who's coming or who's going to do what. So definitely crunch time now. Definitely crunch time. So like I said, get your guns. If you got your guns, get your guns. Get your ammo. Order some more ammo. I'm going to order me some more today. If you need some assault rifle, get you an assault rifle. You're probably going to need that. Get your shotgun. Get your little handguns. Get whatever you got to get to protect your family, because you're going to need that in play. Go out and get you some provisions. I'm going out to get me a big old bag of rice, probably 2 big bags of rice, some beans, get everything I need. Get your gasoline now, because gasoline prices after this week are gonna go up. Make sure you get your gasoline. I'm going to get me some more gasoline today. Make sure I got enough of that. Get everything that you're going to need. Get everything that you're going to need, because this is escalating, and it's escalating fast. It's escalating quick. And we already know that things are going to get more expensive and things are going to get more chaotic. We don't want to be caught up in the chaos. So let's just prepare. This is physical war. We knew it was coming. No shock. If you're a hunter, as we talked about, a farmer, make sure you got enough to sell to the people in your community. Teach them how to farm. Teach them how to come out there so you guys can keep everybody alive. For my hunters, make sure you're out there hunting. plenty of deer. You don't got to get crazy. We're not going to hunt all the deer to extinction. You know, we're not doing that ignorant shit. You hunt to survive. Hunt what you need, sell what meat you need, teach some of these folks how to hunt so they can survive and keep their families alive. Just because we're at war does not mean we have to go into these modes of chaos. I don't understand how we go into chaos. You know, watch these movies and then life just, with all these skills, life just suddenly goes chaotic. Why? Why? Fall back on what you know and teach everybody around you what you know. If you got some folks that ain't down with the program, well, you might have to remove them from the program. But fall back on what you know and teach what you know. We don't have to become barbarians in a time of war. Hold your composure. Don't let chaos create chaotic people. Let's do this. Let's get ready. We've been already talking about this. Game time is over. Let's do what we do. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm your man for that. So, God is with us. He is protecting us. And at the end of the day, He will help us reveal. Mr. Makti, Back Row Ministry, one love.